What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at TIFF 2024 at the Cinema Center, presented by Range Rover Sport. I'm lucky enough to be sitting with the team behind Went Up the Hill. Oh my God, what a fascinating film, and what an incredible one-of-a-kind acting challenge. I cannot wait to dig into every single ounce of your movie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Samuel, I'm coming your way first because clearly I've seen your movie and I know it. A lot of our viewers will not know what it is just yet. So would you mind giving a brief synopsis to kick us off?
Sure. So it's called Went Up the Hill. It's loosely inspired by the nursery rhyme, Jack and Jill Went Up the Hill. And it centers on two grieving individuals who are both in remote New Zealand for the funeral of a woman. And over a series of nights, we learn that this woman who has passed away possesses each of their bodies. So it's two physical bodies and three souls. And it turns into this very intimate, very raw, nocturnal dance between these three individuals.
Job very
You
well
have to
done.
say your sentence, what it is. Remember the one you...
Which one?
The one you just said.
About?
Between...
I've forgotten already. Basically, we just read an article in the car and summarized it really beautifully, but it's just left my mind. What
Well,
was
I
it?
thought you remember. You said
I
you
can't
were going to
remember.
remember.
We said we were going to use it in this
It was
interview.
something between...
I can't remember. It's literally completely gone. I just ate a whole plate of food about 30 seconds ago, so
Honestly,
I'm hypoglycemic.
I feel like that's where your mind should be. You're running around nonstop promoting your movie, and that's where the attention should be right now. I love asking this question in general, but in particular when a movie has such a cool core concept like this. Samuel, can you tell me what was idea number one when you were first crafting this script? But then also, did you have a break story moment, something you came up with that made you think to yourself, like, yes, it is whole and it will work now?
Yeah. I mean, the instigating thing was just an image, which was that idea of a coffin in the center of a room, two people on either side, that they're both equally grieving about the person, but that they know nothing about one another. So that was the inciting kind of image. And then as it went on, I guess in terms of a big sort of break moment, was the idea of using possession as a mode, but not having it stuck to one kind of character. This idea that it can pass between two characters, and that we get to see a male interpretation and a female interpretation of the same character.
So again, this makes all the sense in the world to me because I have seen the movie.
Yes.
I do feel like it might be a difficult thing for someone to wrap their head around when you're fighting to get a green light for the film.
Yes.
So what was, I don't know, the key person you met, the resource you got, the thing that made you say, like, someone gets it and we're going to be able to make it now?
Oh God, the key thing that I mean, I think a lot of it was like the visuals is how we explained it. You know, it's a deeply visual film, even the final one, the final product, and I think getting people to understand it was it really came down to the visual language and how we pitched that and our references, which was, you know, images like Francis Bacon.
It's like a ghost movie, but made by Ingmar Bergman. So it's very Ingmar Bergman in the energy, but it's like a ghost movie in the visuals and in the whole, you know, concept of it.
It does make all the sense in the world. I'll kind of build on that with the two of you now. So the script comes your way. What were some of your biggest burning questions for Samuel in terms of how you would actually go about pulling this off?
The rules of engagement or possession are very clear in the script, so I don't think I had any questions as to why, you know, he had laid out, you know, when asked a question, Elizabeth can respond. If not asked a question, she can't respond. So I think obviously it was incredibly well thought out, so I didn't feel like there was any holes or burning questions. And I think, look, we worked on Jack for like a year. I took like a year off and worked with Samuel every week on Zoom to create Jack, but we both knew that when we arrived in New Zealand, we would be with the Jill creating Elizabeth together. And I think honestly there ended up being less and less questions because it became more of a symbiotic relationship between the three of us, where that we were kind of melded and intertwined into our characters in the story. So it felt very real and very natural in a way. And I think it would be a discredit to say that there were questions around the script or the possession, I think. You know what I mean?
Vicky had questions.
That's just personally, no, in the instance of reading the script, in the initial stages, I was very fascinated, as opposed to Do you know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for.
No,
the
because
question.
my question, you know which it is. It's not really. I was not really questioning the script or the character. It was just, I read the script, and then I called him and I said, "Why is there a scarf?"
Oh, this
Because-
is separate. Yeah.
There used to be a scarf that would fall onto the face, and then you were possessed. And that was my question. And I said,
scarf.
Yeah.
yes. I said, why is there a scarf? You know, couldn't it not be without a scarf? And it would be more tricky, probably. But, you know, and then I didn't expect that they would call me back and say, yeah, okay, so we've taken on the ideas. But that was my only question, really.
It was when I met with Vicky and she mentioned that we were in the process in the screenplay of making the scarf less of a feature.
You were already doing that.
Yeah, and then I met you in person for the first time, and by that point it just naturally happened that it didn't need it. It just fell away. Yeah.
I love that you brought that up because, like Ken confirmed, you did not need that.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by how quickly I fell into step with what was happening and how right it felt so quickly, which does not feel like an easy thing to pull off, but maybe it is when you two get to work with a wonderful scene partner here. I'm going to give you a big old 2-part question about working together. Can you each tell me the first thing you saw in the other that made you say to yourself, like, yes, this is my scene partner for this project. It's the right person.
Oh, that's such a beautiful question.
I'll start there then. I'll add the back
Do you want to
half
go first or
after.
you want me to
No,
go?
you go, because you have it answered. Ready.
Vicky instantly tested me, I think, which I liked. The first day we met at rehearsals, let's forget about the dinner party.
Oh yeah.
First day we met at the rehearsals,
Now I want to know about the dinner party.
she was, I think, testing me, figuring me out. And I so desperately want that in my career as a director, and Samuel tested me. And by the way, the connotation of tested is positive for me. I want to be pushed. It's exactly what these two did. I need that. I needed that. I yearned for that in a creative partnership, and more than I could have ever asked for. And I feel like it pushed me to be the best version of myself and the best.
But how
side.
did I test you? That's interesting.
Oh, there's so many things. I should say. I'm joking. I didn't.
I'm kind of curious.
No. I just remember in our first rehearsal together, you were talking about your process, and I was like, well, my process isn't your process.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment, I also wanted to prove to you, obviously, that we have different schools of thought, and that was important to me. But the fact that you continued to push me throughout the process of the shoot, I've never said that to you, but it benefited me immensely.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It was probably, so as you mentioned, you prepared for a year, and I like to not prepare, but rather unprepare or something. Maybe that's what I
Just
was
two
mentioning.
different.
Very different.
And I like to not know what I'm going to say next in order for it to be maybe more interesting or intelligent or more natural, or I don't know, in life
Everything
in general,
I'm not,
maybe.
basically.
And so probably that's what I meant. And probably you felt, well, but that is my process, you know. But then I already forgot about it because it became so unimportant because the work was
Everything.
shared.
Yeah, and everything became, and all of this to say flippantly, it became so unimportant so quickly because we fell into step together.
Yeah.
Straight at the first day of rehearsals, I feel like by lunchtime,
Yeah.
that connective tissue was, I feel like, folding out of me and
Yeah.
folding out of Vicky and meeting in the middle with Elizabeth the first day. But then we very quickly, Samuel was like, I'm adjusting this whole rehearsal process because
We just didn't. We had, you know, it was great. We had like just over a week, I think, of rehearsals planned, and then I think we got about 3 days in, and I could just tell that like there was an energy between the two of them that was like quite raw and fragile. And I was like, if we keep pushing this, it's gonna. I think we're gonna ruin it, right?
Basically, I became the dictator and I said we are not. No, I'm joking.
No, you did.
Because I don't like to, because I just said I don't like to
No, you
prepare,
don't.
and then we stopped.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm actually a very nice person.
She
But
is.
I can be
I
very,
can attest. She's not.
very direct in what I think, or
I think it's
say
a
what
beautiful
think.
way to describe it all. I'm like constantly obsessing over the fact that there's a million ways to approach your work as an actor. And someone was recently talking to me about, I guess, the word like friction being used in a negative way, when really when two actors are coming at it with a different approach to the work, that's when you can find that like that unexpected magic that you'd never be able to tap into if you were totally aligned right from the start.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think Vicky, like that, we exactly that question. What's the mystery that the performer is bringing? And I think even for me as a performer opposite Vicky, I was like constantly like, no. What's your truth? What's your mystery? What's your thing? And but she's sharing it all the time. It is her. She's a very generous artist in sharing herself. It's an unfiltered version of self, which I thrive on, because there's honesty and truth, and it creates mutual respect immediately. Even if you don't have to, we didn't speak to each other the whole shoot really. So, but nothing needed to be said. It wasn't a thing that needed to be talked about and this, oh, we're friends, let's do this and that and the other. It was already, I felt, there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had a back half to that. So you clearly knew you were the right pairing right from the start. But even then, can you tell me something you saw the other one do on set that made you go like, I can't even believe you were capable of that?
Yeah, so I had a few of those, and it's what you say is, I don't know if me from the beginning I thought yes, because I didn't know you at all. I had seen a little bit of your work in Elvis, I think, and I did remember that performance because it was very nice. But it's not like I knew your work, and so it's not like I could, trust anything. And then I met you, and you could have been very much this type of American, and you're not American, actor. Netflix, TV, thinking about only what you eat and the workout. And not to say anything about workout, I'm just saying some actors are very superficial in that way. And so I met you, and for a moment you could have been that person. And then very quickly, because of the dance thing we did, where there's nothing to rely on, because when your body moves, you have to be honest. And immediately when we started doing that, I felt that you are honest, open, and ready to act, like in the sense of acting, where it's not about you, but it's about what is about to be found or what is about to happen between two people. And then another time we were on set, and I even told someone, I looked over at you and you were acting, and not only incredibly beautiful as a man, but the way you were acting, I thought, I think he's like the reincarnation of Marlon Brando. I'm not joking. Because of the way you combine personal experiences like trauma or things, and you bring them into the work, but at the same time, you're very intellectual, you want to understand, you're like a director in your head, so it's very important for you what means and how do you understand. So I had these two decisive moments. I did have that.
Great example. Dacre, you got anything?
I kind of feel like we're met for the first time because we didn't speak.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's very sweet. I'm hearing this in real time, and it's very, very sweet and kind of. Yeah, I think everything. I think there's so much. Vicky just put so much of her own pain on screen, and I think that's very hard too. Very beautiful and very generous, and I hadn't worked with anyone that was that generous in a way, with their spirit and their soul, and it's very affecting and quite staggering. And I felt quite shifted and nervous, but then there's this incredible like warm blanket that kind of comes over your soul when someone shows you theirs. And I think I said earlier, I may never work with someone like that again. So I'm happy. I'm very grateful for the experience to work with you.
Such beautiful answers. I want to tap into playing Elizabeth a little here. This is a big question, but I am curious, is there any kind of consistency that you wanted to maintain in your portrayals, but then also something specific you wanted to do differently to reflect the fact that technically you're playing different sides of her, like the mother and the wife sides?
It's 2 parts. My answer.
Watch the movie. You have to see it.
Perfume, we've talked a lot about. We both had our own scents for Jack and Jill. Elizabeth, Vicky brought a scent for. We used that when playing Elizabeth, so there was a sensory experience that differentiated the two. And then I think secondly, it will always be different because we're different human beings. It's never going to be the same person. I'm not looking to make a replica of what Vicky's doing and vice versa. And I think that's important. I think it's subtle. And I think, like Vicky said, you got to watch the movie and see what your opinion is. Everyone has their own thing. But I was happy with our portrayals, and they're completely different in their own way, and then there's this connection completely overwhelmingly
it's an
in
essence,
the same way.
I think it's more of an essence that they share as opposed to like a specific sort of movement or anything, but you can feel it. There's a weight when they each inhabited by her.
I think we took the risk of allowing because trauma is collective. We all carry trauma, and in a way it's almost like the same trauma but different colors, the trauma of a man, the trauma of a woman, or the trauma of a son or the mother or the daughter, is going to be the mother of someone else. My mother was someone's daughter before. So we all share that, and I think the three of us took the risk of making that more important than agreeing on how is this character going to move, how is this character going to talk, but not talk about that and let it happen. And lean into this more, maybe spiritual energy, of the idea of what is a ghost, what is being possessed, what is your trauma you carry around, and how fight with it.
It sounds more complex, but it's actually simpler.
Yeah.
What we found was actually the simplest way to do it,
100%.
but the effect is more complex on screen.
The more I've thought about the movie, the more I feel that. And as someone who likes, I love horror movies. It's my favorite genre. I feel like I usually experience ghost and possession stories a very specific way.
Yeah.
And this, on the other hand, is so incredibly deeply human and like shockingly relatable.
Yeah.
Do you know as well, like I know probably, but when you're performing, just to speak about Samuel for a second, Vicky said like color, male, female, each individual. Samuel, there's so much of himself in his story, which isn't for me to talk about, but in this project, that when we're performing in front of the camera, if you could see color, it's pouring out of him behind the camera. He's in the scene with us every scene. We are guiding the ship.
Cry most days.
Yeah, it's like you can see we're all like, it's so affecting to be like this person. I don't know. I find it generous because I'm like, this person behind the camera is like just pouring out. And I feel like that's...
and that's why we're making jokes all the time and pushing each other, is because actually this is for real. This was very intense for us.
Yeah.
So we don't have to make it up. This is a very interesting project. Go see the film. It's very intense. We are constantly joking and like pushing each other because what we talk about is actually truly intense, Yeah. And that's why we don't find stupid, cool words now maybe to sell the film, but you just have to see the film. It's like it's real.
Yeah.
Right?
I have to end on one unrelated question, and it would break my heart, but it kind of doesn't, because Dacre, I think Daniel Goldhaber is like one of the best out there. He excites me.
Favorite.
He excites me so much, and I'm very curious about Faces of Death. Is there anything you can tease in terms of how far the new movie is going to go with how disturbing it is and how it, either leans into or tiptoes around the controversy of the original?
Danny is, I'm not going to give too much away. Danny's like Samuel. He puts all of himself into a film. He's an incredible filmmaker, and he's incredibly collaborative. And we got a great opportunity to really play in that space, and it goes all the way. So I'm really excited for people to see it.
I'm very curious. I'm also very excited for everybody out there to go and watch Went Up the Hill. Seriously, like what you two do is something else. And like hearing about how you lead them as an actor's director here, it's really an incredible achievement. So thank you for discussing some of your experience with us, and huge congratulations on the film.
Thank you
so much. Appreciate it.